Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my Flosstube. My name is Emily. I'm here to talk about my cross stitch, and you're very welcome here to visit with me for however long I talk rubbish for. How's everyone been? I've been okay. I've worked 7 days out of the last 9. I was off yesterday. I was given last Saturday off, but that was after I really complained quite loudly about being on an 8. Of course, on the Saturday I was knackered. I did nothing. It was no good, and all I did was miss a day's pay, which has obviously negatively affected my wages. I'm making it up this week, but that doesn't help me that month. So, swings and roundabouts. So I've just done my days. I'm off. I was off yesterday, I'm off today, and then I'm back in before. I'll tell you now, this is not working at all for me. It's just not working. So back on the merry-go-round of trying to find something that suits better. It's one of those be careful what you wish for things, really. Is what it is. Cross stitch. I have been stitching a little tiny bit. Thank you to everybody who left a comment last time. There was a fairly across the board unanimous start Blossom Park. Blossom Park here versus another bookshelf, which I own the pattern to. I've got the Grand Library as well, but I will be starting the vintage Summer Garden bookshelf at some point too. I will do that, but not right now. To the end, I did start Blossom Park on my Cosmic Marbles fabric. My serger has been located. It is on the floor over there. It is about this deep in very fine, disgusting sawdust. I'm going to take him, clean him all up, and I will serge all of my current projects because this Lugana is just ridiculous. I'm going to lose half of it before I even start this project. Let me check which way round I am. Blossom Park is here. Here is the corner. It is ridiculous. This is 25 count. I am doing 1/1, which is what I will only ever do on 25 count. Anything over 20, I use 1 strand. So if I'm doing and 36 count with silk, I use 1 strand. So my 20 count Treasure Hunt bookshelf is 1 strand. This here is 25 count. It will be 1 strand. So there is my little tiny start. If I can get him into focus, there's some purples and some greens, and that's basically it so far. Just a tiny little start. You can see how much I gridded. I gridded 9 to 1200, a block of 1200 stitches is what I've gridded up there. As and when, I'll just put in another line here and there as I move. So I'm trying to stay within this tiny little block here at the moment. If I'm going outside the block, I'm then realising I'm going a bit far, so I'm parking. This is how I roll with those. And what you've seen with my Treasure Hunt bookshelf, I don't park a lot. I will just pop them there, and then when I put a couple more lines in, that'll be the first thing I work in. I'll work in the new strands. I'll work in the leftover strands straight away. They were just too long, and I'm really lazy about putting things back on bobbins, so I'd rather not put a thread back on a bobbin. I'd rather leave it and use it up later. So here is Blossom Park with, hopefully this will be sorted by next time I see you. My Blossom Park, let me just pull him up on my phone, is at 0.14%. I've done a grand total of 404 stitches on that. But thank you ever so much, everyone. I was leaning towards Blossom Park, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm very happy to have started it. It's going to be a forever long-term project, quite honestly. Something just beeped and buzzed really loudly. Don't know what that was. So it'll go into my stash and come out when I fancy doing a few stitches in it. And that'll be that. And we'll chuggle along with it. It is beautiful. So far, a lot of confetti. Very pretty. A lot of confetti. So there's a lot of colours in that first 1200 stitch block, one of which I don't have. How do I not have 319? It's a green. How do I not have it? I'll grab one next time I'm passing Hobbycraft. For single DMCs, I don't mind spending the £1.30 that they now are in the UK for one single DMC, and I'm not going to be making any orders anytime soon anywhere else to combine in postage, so it'll just stay as it is. Sorry, I've not been in the shower yet, so my hair is currently making me crazy, so just ignore that for now. Right, okay. I've also been working on my treasure hunt bookshelf, mostly just yesterday. I'll be perfectly honest, I only picked it really up yesterday, but I did put in a lot of black stitches yesterday. Let me just pull up my treasure hunt bookshelf. I've still got work to do on it. I've already done 636 stitches this morning. It is 1 minute past 9. I get up at about 20 to 7, so I've already done a couple of hours stitching on it this morning and had 2 cups of coffee. So I'm at 15.77 for the month, so hopefully by the end of tonight I'll be quite close. I won't be. I'll maybe get 1,000 stitches in today, maybe another 400 or 500 stitches going in. That will bring me a bit closer, and then I've got little bits in the evenings, time in the evenings, time in the mornings, a little bit to catch myself back up a bit. So last week it was here again. This not moving the Q-snap for the month is working beautifully for me. So give or take the strand that's hanging off it. Today it looks like this. As you can see, there's a lot of black gone in here. This is mostly black. So I'm currently working. What I thought I'd do today is try and get these bits here filled in, just so I've got a slightly different colour. I've currently got 413 on, so a very dark grey, as opposed to pure black, as opposed to 310. I did put in probably 12 strands of 310 last night while I was waiting for Flora for cadets, so a lot of black's gone in. So I'm maybe going to try and actually fill in. I've got some quite big gaps here, and the same colours are in this bit of background sky. I suppose it is sky, isn't it? Yes. So I'm maybe going to try and fill this bit in here, and then I'll probably make up the rest of the stitches for the month down here, and then I will move my Q-snap for the next month, and we'll see where we move it to next month. So I've got quite a chunk of it there. I've still got gaps. Could go down there maybe, I don't know. We'll see what I fancy, but that'll be next week. That will be next week when I've hopefully finished my 1% for the month, and we can see quite clearly the difference between the start of the month and the end of the month. Should be 7,200 stitches different, and that's that. Chug along with that. Oh, I wish I had a cup of coffee. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. That's better. I have my new coffee in this gorgeous Lisa Parker mug that I got for Lizzie for Christmas. I showed her the Hades and she was like, oh, I kind of like them. We kind of like the Christmas cat that looks like it's going to kill everybody around it. So got my coffee. Feel a lot better now. I like having a cup of coffee. Nowhere to put it now because I'm using the table to prop up my tablet. There we go. Right. So I've done Blossom Park. I've done that. The only other thing that I've really chugged along with really well, let me just find them on my pattern keeper, is my Peekaboo Sea Beacon, which last week looked very much like this. And this week, I think I've made quite a good chunk of progress on this one actually. Looking at it, I'm really, really loving this. I think it's because it's a larger Ada. I think it's 18 count. It's been hand dyed, so I really should give it a good counter up. Yeah, it's very pleasing, very easy stitching. I'm moving along really well with it. I've now got 2 big chunks that I can just fill in whenever I want. And right now it looks like this. So I'm currently at 19.68%. So I've come along really well on her. And all of this, as I've said lots of times, is 939. but all of this is 3809. This whole, I've done myself a clear, you can see I've started filling it in block by block. I've done myself a really clear margin round, and everything inside this shape here is 3809. So I really can just pick that up and get on with it. Of course, I'm doing some 823 over here because I still want to carry on and do all the little shading and the bitty bits, not just fill in the big chunks, because this is my tired stitching. This is I'm in from work, I'm really tired, I can only get in 1 or 2 strands tonight, and I will put in a couple of 100 quick stitches either in the 939, and now I've got the 3809, which is a lighter colour, so it's much easier to put in tired stitches. So I've got this chunk and these 3 chunks here that I can get on with, and if I'm feeling a little bit more awake, or I just fancy doing something a little bit different, I can just grab one of the other colours, because I say I've got a full kit up of these colours, which is super helpful. I can just grab the colour I need and put in a couple of strands somewhere here, and then the strands go down the sides here as well. So she's coming along really well. I'm really pleased I decided to start her and get on with her, because it's super easy, nice stitching. She's quite big. I mean, she's not very big. I'm nearly a fifth of it done. She goes down to there. So she's going to be quite striking. Very much my colour palette. See my sofa, see my cardigan. But she is going to be very glorious, and I'm really enjoying the calm, easy stitching that is my Peekaboo Sea Beacon, which is really lovely. Really enjoying that. And then the other day at work, I had literally like a couple of down minutes. You don't get like downtime. I certainly don't get a break. It's just a little bit of down minutes, and I was scrolling, will have been Instagram, I think, and somebody's temperature quilt, it was a quilt, not a cross stitch, came up, and I was like, I love a temperature piece, I really do. And I did Sarah the Stitching Mommy's temperature tree in 2020, which I did love, but I think I'd like something a bit more blocky and obvious, so that I can go, there's this year, there's this year, there's this year, there's this year. Crikey, look how it's changed. So when I got home from work, I ratcheted about, pulled a whole pile of, I'm literally just going to lift these up. I've got a bag of plastic bobbins, and I pulled out, there's a full rainbow there. There's a full rainbow in there, and 2 greys. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it like a quilt, but I want maximum and minimum temperatures. There is a local weather station in the village that is 10 miles where I used to work. My kids are at school, my parents live. It's the same temperature graphs that I used for the 2020 tree. So I thought, right, I can pull historical data. So I downloaded, well, I pulled up and screenshot. I will print them out today when I'm somewhere where I have use of a working printer. The 2021, 2022, and so far 2023. I'll probably leave the 2023s for now, because I got on with 2021, and by the time I'm even thinking about doing 2023, the figures will be finished. So I can download the full year maximum temperatures, the full year's minimum temperatures, and that's daily maximum minimum, which is kind of what I want to do, because in 2020 I think I just did the mean temperature, which obviously didn't show the high variations in very, very hot and very, very cold, which is kind of what I like. I like the maximum and the minimum, but doing the medium, I didn't realise that it was going to be fairly bland. My temperature tree was, there was no extremes. I didn't use like the 3 coldest colours or the 3 hottest colours. And for the UK, I'm not, you know, I only have my temperature piece will only go from, I think my lowest temperature is anything beyond -4 degrees Celsius, and my highest temperature is anything over, I've written it all down, my highest temperature is anything over 32 degrees Celsius, which isn't terribly hot. That's not terribly hot at all, but I think the highest in the three ranges I've looked at so far, the 3-year ranges I've looked so far, is like 36. But there's like one day, and like one day where it's like 33, and then everything. So the very highest temperature, which is going to be 550. So I'm going from 0 is 3865 because that's the weight I found. I was trying not to pull from my master set. I have got some from my master set in it, which might be problematic, but for the little things I'm stitching on at the moment, I'm not going to keep a separate set. I'm actually going to tuck them in on the empty spaces on my Sea Beacon box, because as you see, my Sea Beacon box has 2 empty slides there, so I'll be able to easily fit all of them in there. So I'm going to bobbin them up, hence the plastic bobbins. Some of them are pulled from my master set, like 910 here. But if I keep the 2 boxes together, because I'm pretty much using the boxes at the moment, if I magically need 910 for my bookshelf, I know I can look in the other box. So there's only 2 temperatures below 0, which is 0 to 2 and 2 to 4, and then 4 to 6. So this is, you know, in minus. So they are the turquoisey colours. So we've got 3796. So you see, very, very cold is going to be, I think it's these. So you see, we're only just, so anything below 0 is going to be frosty turquoise, very pale frosty turquoise. And then we quickly climb up through the blues, into the greens, into the limes, and I found a whole pile. Some of these are vintage and they were gifted to me, so thank you very much to somebody who sent me some lovely vintage. And you can always tell a vintage DMC because they've got the tab on the top band. One of the tabs of paper, that's got a plastic tab actually, got a paper one at the top, and they have a little tab that sits over the top of the skein there. That's a very vintage, that's like a 1980s, early 90s one, I think. So I wouldn't put that in my master set, just as a one with a tab like that, because the colours have changed ever so slightly over time. Right, that's 793. This one's just going to prove me wrong, or it's just not going to be in my master set. Let's see if I've got 973. 793. I'm not even getting my numbers the right way around. Everyone else is going 793 is blue. Of course 793 is blue. Okay, there's 973. It's exactly the same. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes the vintage ones, certainly some of the vintage ones in my Celtic Lady kit up, I got a vintage 1980s kit up for her. Sometimes they're quite different colours, but I'm using the full set, so the full kit. So anyway, I'm not using my one from my master set because I have a spare skein. So the hotter colours, getting up into the teens and into the 20s. We've got some corals. We've got some. I've got a lovely red there. I tried to get colours that were sort of fed into each other. The greens are always the problem because the greens don't run in a series. They don't run in a match. So you get what you get with greens. So I've got some limes. So we go from that bright yellow there, the 793, 973. How many times am I going to do that? Into 165. So then we go into the limes and back down through the greens. So long story short, I'll get them bobbinated and show you them in a box much better. I've got the first couple of months of 2021's temperatures written out very poorly because I like to scribble them out as I go. I'll print them out so that I've got good copies, and then that's my temperature scale with the DMC numbers and my temperature range there. As you can see, I totally failed to be able to write here completely, and you can see it's not full numbers. It's between 1.5 and 2 degrees. I've tried to get here between like 2 degrees and 15 degrees is where almost all of my temperatures fall, because this part of the UK is very temperate. We don't get a lot of variation, so almost all of my colours fall in this range. So I try to get more colours rather than just have it sort of a 2 degree band and it be between, say, 4 and 6 degrees for 2 weeks and it all be the same colour. I've tried to split it up a little bit and make the bands narrower so that we get more of a variation in colour. And then as we get up into the 19 to like 26 degrees, they're 2 degree bands there. And then I've got 0 to -2, -2 to -4, and anything over -4 are the 3 at the bottom. And then again I've got a smaller band here. So I've got 0 to 1.2 degrees, 1.3 to 2.4 degrees, 2.5 to 3.6, and it's creeping. So it's sort of like my band is just over a degree of colour, just so that I get more changes of colour, as it were. Now, as for a pattern, I came up with another drawing. I came up with that. There is my pattern. I am doing flying geese. Any patchworkers will have come across flying geese. They are sideways triangles with a little triangle top and bottom. So that is my maximum temperature, and the 2 little triangles either side are my minimum temperatures. And I needed them because I want it sort of square. Obviously it will be orientated landscape, so I didn't want them dropping down. I wanted them going across. So January goes across and then February below it going across. So it's going to be landscape rather than portrait. And flying geese, as I said, with a grey border, and I'm going to put a border line between each month of just, I think, 2 stitches, might be 3 stitches, just to make it a bit squarer. This is a very long-winded explanation for what is an absolutely, oh, I've just found a 939, a bit of 939 which belongs on my Sea Beacon. I'll put that on my Sea Beacon. I can put that in. Is it 939? No, it's not. It's 823. Put it over there then. Back on my Sea Beacon. A very long story short to say, I found a piece of, it might be 25 count, it might be 28 count. Unless I put a ruler against it, I don't know. The stitches are tiny. Here is my temperature chart for 2021. There. I've done January the 1st, January the 2nd, and the hot temperatures, the high temperatures for the 3rd and the 4th. And that's the start of my border and the start of my little checkerboard that goes in the middle. There we go. That's it so far. I can do this at my leisure. I can do it whenever I want because the temperatures have it's already happened. I'm doing it in retrospect, I think. So there we go. And I think these little squares, I'm going to do little tiny Shimono crosses all round the outside of the border. So that's going to run as the border right round, and then February's flying geese will go in the opposite direction, and then we'll go a month about this way, that way, just because that's what I fancy doing. And then I'll do, so that's 4 days, so a month's probably going to come to about here maybe. So it's going to be there, and I think I can probably get, that's the size piece I picked up. It's a fat quarter of, I'm going to say it's antique white, it's possibly ivory, Lugana, and I'm thinking it's very probably it's 25 count. So I'm doing 25 count over 1 for these dinky little stitches, and I'm going to do me some temperature charts. And I can just do those whenever. It's not something I need to keep up with. It's not something I need to do every day. I'm just going to download all of my temperatures. I've downloaded all of my temperatures, and when 2023 is over, I will download 2023's temperatures, and then I'll probably download 2024 temperatures when 2024 is done. So I just fancied that. I was thinking about it, I fancied doing it, so I did it. And I've started it, and hopefully I'll keep it up and we'll be fine with it. I think that's all my stitching. So I've only worked on a couple. I've got 2 new starts, one proper Haid and one I'm just making it up. I'm just winging it. I just fancy doing it. I might get halfway through February and go, ugh, that was a bad idea. But I have all sorts of stuff. I've got I was actually tidying up a bit of my bedroom, and I found my crocheted 2019 blanket, which I think I got into April, possibly crocheted some of May's blocks and sacked it. So what do I do with that? Do I pull up the temperatures? Do I finish it? Do I leave it? Do I scrap it? Do I throw it in the bin? It's going to make a long skinny blanket at the moment. I might pull it out and show it you and see what we think of it. I found 2 other blankets that just needs crocheting together, single bed size blankets that I crocheted back when I started YouTube watching crochet, which is why I've got bits of crochet. But this is dating back 2019, late 2018, 2019. I was watching crochet, so we're talking years already, and they're just sitting there as whips. So they might need to be the blankets I'll definitely finish. The temperature thing I might UFO. Who knows? I might just finish it, but that requires a lot of crochet. Wouldn't kill me to do it though, would it? Who knows? I'm searching for a better balance again, and I'll let you know how things go. These last 3.5 full months have been very, very difficult for me, work-wise, and it automatically follows that, you know, my home life is completely shaken up and rubbish as well, because I'm never here. I get home at like 10:30 at night, and I have to sleep, and I'm back out before anybody gets up in the morning. And it's been 7 out of the last, well, 9 days. Bear in mind I had a day off yesterday. But that I'm just too tired to function. I get up, I have 2 cups of coffee, I go to work. I work all day. I don't sit down. So I'm 12, 13 hours not sitting down the whole time. Get back in my car, and I'm almost too tired to drive home. You know, so it's not working. And I haven't been on the pattern I was promised was 4 days on, 3 days off, which I think I probably could have coped with. But it's not how it's working out, because people have holidays and people are ill and this and that happens, and oh, but we've got this big wedding and everybody needs to be in. So the pattern as it is, that I thought it didn't matter what was happening because there was enough staff to cover everything and for us all to sit on our normal patterns, it's just not, it's not happened. And that's been 3 full months of it not happening right. So I've not settled. I don't feel comfortable there. It's not somewhere, the job's hard, it's long, it's hot, it's hard. So I'll let you know how things go. That's my overriding, you can see that's my overriding thought at the moment is, oh, I've got to change again, but I've got to change again because it's not working out for me. Which is sad. I hate having to call in. You've seen me change jobs twice in the 3 years I've been doing Flosstubes. Did I start in 2020? I think I started in the July of 2020. No, it might have been 2021. It might only be 2 years. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference, does it really? So just get my coffee. You've seen me change jobs twice. For good, for bad. You've seen it go wrong. You've seen it go right. You've seen it go wrong. We need to do it again. Needs to happen again. Oh dear. Okay, guys. Right. I'll be back probably about this time next week, I hope, with some progress. It might be the end of the month, and it will be the end of the month, and hopefully I will have finished my 1%. I'll have done a bit more of this, I'll have done a bit more of that. I'm thinking in September is going to be the Bothy Threads Kit month, where I actually, rather than stitching on my Sea Beacon, rather than picking up new starts and that, I'm just going to try and get as much of it done as I can. We'll see how that goes. I might decide completely not to do that altogether. We'll just see. Any of my Long Dog Sampler friends out there, she released Saga yesterday, and it's enormous. I just slurped my coffee. I never do that. I'm sorry. It is full size Haid. It is 500 by I think 397 or something. It is full size Haid size. It looks remarkably like the pointed fifth, to the point where I looked at it and went, that's really the pointed fifth. There's quite a lot of new animals on it. There's quite a lot of animals that you can see from lots of other designs. Like, you're like, well, I stitched that and that in Anzac. I've stitched that in that. I've stitched this in this. Which is, you know, it makes you smile. So it's wonderful, but it's like pointed fifth with the archways and the animals in the archways and the very busy background behind the archways, and it gets bigger and bigger. It's basically pointed fifth, but plus plus. I'm not buying it. I'm not starting it. I think it needs a yard of fabric. Because most of us stitch our long dogs over 2 because they're monochrome, and you pick pretty fabric and you stitch them over 2. Now, when you need nearly a yard of fabric to get the width, to get the height, sorry, a yard of pretty fabric is a big ask. You know, it's a lot of money. A lot of us, well, I don't tend to stitch them on white, you know, plain white fabric. I tend to stitch a single colour or a couple of colours on a pretty fabric, which is beyond, it's beyond my capabilities. I only have 1 full yard of very beautiful fabric in stash. It's this kind of tone colour. It was a gift. It's that kind of tone and colour, and I'm saving it for something that is not a long dog. And I don't know what I'm saving it for, but I'm saving it for something else. If I use that piece of fabric, I would need to use a white probably, and I hate stitching in white. And I wouldn't want to do it monochrome. I'd want to do it like the pointed fifth, but in a different colour palette, I think. So that was my first thought, is this is a companion piece to my pointed fifth. I need a yard of something dyed in a similar way, but not pink, and a different colour palette, but done in the same ombre. That was my first thought, to do it exactly like I'm doing my pointed fifth, but different colours and different, you know, different. But I'm not going to do it, but please go and have a look at it, because it is outstanding. It's outstanding, but it's beyond me right now. And so I've sort of said to myself, right, well, if you finish pointed fifth, bear in mind my pointed fifth is, and I have worked on it this year. Let me just scroll through my pattern keeper. There is oh, it's very light pointed fifth. I am 40% there. The black's what I've done, the green's what I've got to go. That's where I am on my pointed fifth. Saga is very like that. It really would look stunning next to it. Calls to me a lot more than Death by Cross Stitch or Life After Death, because neither of those I've bought or attempted. It calls to me more than Pandemic, which, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with. Not love-hate, but it's very, I make so many mistakes on it, and I wouldn't want to do it the tone on tone that I'm doing Pandemic on with. I was watching somebody else the other day who's just about to start a tone on tone, and I was like, yeah, it's very good. It's very pretty. 2 tones pink she was looking at. Crikey, who was I watching? Somebody I've not watched before, but watched for like 3 of her Flosstubes all in a row. Oh, that's not so clever, is it, to not remember at all? cat fur and cross stitch or something she's called. Quite entertaining. Yeah, she was just about to start a tone on tone. I don't think it was long dog or something else, but very similar. But that's what I'm doing with my pandemic. I didn't realise that was what it was called. But that's, you know, I'm 14% or something stupid into doing my pandemic, and it's really hard. But I'm not gridding, so maybe I should grid it with my filament, and then it might make it easier. Anyway, guys, I'm talking rubbish now. I will see you soon. Hopefully within the week. I've done 4 days this week. I've got these 2 days off, and I'm in tomorrow, so a 5-day week, which makes up for my 3-day week the week before. But I've already been paid for that, and I was hoping this would fall in the pay, but it hasn't. So I'm making up my hours from getting 1 whole day off, which made no difference to me because I was like a zombie. So it didn't give me any respite at all, really. And then I've got 3 days off, and those are busy 3 days because those are the 3 days that I have off before my kids go back to school. So it's going to be school shoes. I always leave school shoes to the last minute. Uniform we've got, school shoes I'm last minute just in case their feet suddenly grow like crazy. So it's back to school stuff, and my little boy who's going up to big school needs a proper big boy haircut. He's never been to a barber's before. I've always just done it with the clippers myself, but I think we need to be a little bit more grown up about it now and actually go to the barber's and get his hair cut properly so that he feels good and confident. Yeah, so I'll try and jump on next week and say hello and show you where I am with my odd collection of stitching. Take care of yourself, guys, and I will see you again really soon. Bye bye.